Right, good afternoon and welcome to Election Focus. We're coming to you from our studios in Abilinkwe 48 Swanika Street here in Accra. We are live on Facebook at Pan-African Television, live on YouTube at Pan-African Television, as well as 48 African countries. You can join in the conversation by sending in your views, comments, and contributions on WhatsApp. Text line, I'll be reading those messages out for you. Don't forget to leave your suggestions, questions, contributions, and all of that on our socials, and I'll also read those ones out for you. Now, I'll be joined here by my colleagues, Ruben Addo. Ruben Addo is a news editor here at Pan-African Television. Also here is Bless Koku Alomaso. Bless is the host of Good Morning Africa right here on Pan-African Television. And Greg Amwa, who is a parliamentary correspondent. I'll be doing this with them for the next 2 hours. This afternoon on Election Focus, we are looking at the strongholds of the various political parties in the Bono and Bono East regions. We are looking at who is winning what. The historical performance, the graph, and all other things there are to discuss, on the program this afternoon. And so I'll welcome my colleagues. Welcome, my brothers.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Before I go to Greg, let me start with you, Bless. I mean, your preliminary comments on the regions that we are going to be looking at on the show this afternoon.
Well, I'll start by saying a good afternoon to our cherished viewers, which is, of course,
right.
African Television is so many present in 46 other African countries. We are there in some parts of Europe and, of course, South America. Special greetings to the people up north, where we have the bulk of our viewers who are so much dedicated to our channel. And that's something we know for a fact. And so, greetings to all of them. We have some 11 days more until the big day, which is certainly going to be an historic day in Ghana's political history. I'm looking forward to that. It's just some 11 days and some 11 nights more until that big day comes, and we'll continue to bring our viewers the latest updates as far as this electioneering period is concerned. To talk about the Bono region, which we shall be discussing today, I'm looking forward to a very insightful analysis from myself and then the rest of the team, Greg, on the screens. I'm sure that it's going to be a good afternoon here on Pan-African TV.
Right, so that was my colleague, Bless Koku Alomaso. Now, Ruben, let me come to you. What are your expectations for the Bono and then Bono East regions in the upcoming election?
I believe that once the show ends, our audience out there will be well fed with insightful analysis as to how the two dominant parties will fare with some 11 days left for the judgment day. So it all depends on how they are going to put their acts together to make sure that they win majority of seats in both regions. But from now till December 7th, we'll know how their chances will look like and how the elections will shape up in these two regions once we are done with insightful analysis and discussion.
All right, Greg, what do you have for us in terms of these regions? And we are starting with Bono region.
The Bono region, so this is the Bono region. This is what the parliamentary, this is the presidential makeup of the region, as you can see on your screens, since 1996, where the NDC won the presidential election in that region. The NPP has consistently dominated the region from 2000 to 2020. Now, if you look at the margins, from the year 2000, where NPP won it, they won it with 62.4 as against NDC's 34.2. And then in 2004, NPP dwindled a bit to 58.4. Then NDC had some trajectory, 39.8. 2008, NDC got 54.6. NPP got 54.6, whereas NDC got 43.7. 2012 was the closest it has been in recent times, where NPP got 52.8, NDC 46.1. 2016, of course, when the wind of change blew around the country, the gap widened quite significantly, 60.3 as against 38.4. In 2020, 58.2 as against 40.4. And so the records here show that the NPP have dominated this region, even when it was the larger Bono Brunga Afro region. These and then the Afro region were areas that the NPP consistently won, and even owing to the allocation of seats over there, that was one region that was consistently won by the NPP. And this year as well, the polls are again tipping the NPP's candidate, that's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, to win that region as well. And so when we talk about the Bono region, that is one of the safe seats of the NPP as far as the presidential elections are concerned. The parliamentary election tells a different story, because in 1996, NDC controlled majority of the seats over there. It was 3 seats as against 2 of the NPP. In 2000, NPP swept all seats, so it was 5-0. 2004, when the seats were increased, NDC got 1 seat, NPP controlled 8 seats. 2008, and NPP lost 1 seat, so 7 as against NDC's 2. 2012, NPP 9 seats, NDC 3 seats. 2016, NPP 11 seats, NDC 1 seat, and then in 2020, NDC had one of their best performance in recent years. Having 6 seats, and then the NPP also having 6 seats. Now, mind you, as of 2020, it had become the Bono region, not part of the larger Brunga Afro region. And so when it was carved into 2, they had 12 seats, and then based on the result from the previous election, NDC got 12 seats, and then NPP also got 12 seats. Now, this is the map of the region. The farthest end is Banda. That's the constituency of the Deputy Minority Whip, the Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim. And so he 50.3. In fact, his election was very, very close. Just a little over 300 votes or so that gave him that seat. And then we cross over to Tyne. That is Tyne. That's the famous Tyne, the constituency that defined the 2008 runoff, the 2008 presidential race between Nana Akufo-Addo and then John Evans Atta Mills. And so that is Tyne constituency, that also controlled by the NDC. Now we move over to German North. German North, that's also controlled by the NDC. And then to the far side, we come to Wenchi. Now, miraculously, Wenchi had been a traditional blue city, because that's even the hometown of Dr. K. Buzia, one-time Prime Minister of Ghana. And he hails from the UP NPP lineage. And so Wenchi had been a seat that many always knew would be a safe seat for the NPP. But Seydou Haruna comes on board and then sweeps it against Professor George, I think Jan Bafo. Yes, and so that is one of the shockers in the region. So now we move to some blue seats. This is Brekum East. So this is central Brekum, the Brekum area itself. So that was also won by the NPP, and the margins were quite large, because you can see it's a deep blue seat, and so that's one seat that the NPP have consistently won as well. And then we move over to Brekum West. That is the Gini areas. Yes, that's outskirts of Brekum. That also another blue city has been won by the NPP since 2012. Then Sunyane West. Sunyane West. That is also that's the constituency of the employment minister. Also a traditional blue seat. And then we do Sunyane East. We do Sunyane East. That's also the seat of the NPP. Now, just as a few months ago, there was a novelty in Parliament where a member who was not a speaker or a deputy was allowed to chair proceedings of the House. That is the consensus of the Honorable Kwesi Amia Treme, Sunyane East. That's also a religious blue seat because it has been won by the NPP for a very long time. And then Doma East is Paul Apreku Tumberema's seat, also a traditional blue seat. And then Doma Central, that's the constituency of the former health minister Kweku Agyeman-Menu, also a blue seat. And then Doma West. So amongst the Doma, and just as it's an enclave, so Sunyane, Brekum, Doma, they are one enclave, and then the Bandes and then the Times are also one enclave. And so in that enclave, NDC has one seat in Doma West, and it belongs to the Honorable Vincent Opongasama, former Deputy Works and Housing Minister under John Dramani Mahama.
That seat is a swing seat.
Yes.
Because the NPP won that seat in 2016.
Yes.
And then NDC won in 2012.
Yes. Yes. So in that enclave, if you can see the map, in this enclave, Sunyane, Doma, Brekum, and if you know that region, that is one of that's more or less a box area. That's a box enclave, and NPP controls that side of town, whereas the NDC controls this side.
Surprisingly, NDC has managed to win a seat, within the enclave that belongs to the New Patriotic Party.
Yes.
How did they manage to do that?
So I think Dodoma West itself has swung a few times, and so that tells you that the people in that enclave do not align with how these other guys vote, so they are more likely to switch between the two parties. Owing to the elections from 2012, no one has been able to go for 2 terms in that enclave, and so that is that's the affairs over there as far as the Bono region is concerned. So I don't know if there will be any preliminary comment before we go into
right. I want to come to
themselves.
Ruben. Ruben, as you can see, 12 seats in the Bono region. NDC controls 6. NPP controls 6 of those seats. So it looks as if they've shared the seats equally. What do you think will be the narrative in the upcoming elections?
I'm a bit dumbfounded as to why the NPP lost the Winchi seats. Because ideally, that's the hometown of Dr. K. Buzia. And he's widely regarded as the founding father of the UP traditional lineage. And interestingly, I think this time around they are fielding Kojo Frimpong.
Yeah,
he used to anchor sports on TV3. And if you look at the NDC's candidate, Seidu Haruna, he was able to uproot a financial stalwart in Professor George Yaojan Balfour. And it tells you that irrespective or regardless of who the person is or where he's hailing from, once you fail to deliver, you definitely be kicked out. I'm also looking at the Sunyane East seat. Yes, the Sunyane East seat.
That's a very deep blue seat.
That's a very deep blue seat, and I know that the current occupant is Paul Aprekum Chumberema.
No, that's Doma West.
Okay.
No, it's sorry.
Okay. So the current occupant happens to be the Employment and Labor Relations Minister.
Yes, that's Sunyane West.
Yes, the Sunyane West.
That's not a very deep blue seat. Owing to the numbers over there. In fact, he couldn't even get majority, or even though in parliamentary elections, you need, even if you get +1,
first past the post.
But he couldn't get majority of the votes. He got more than half of the votes, owing to the numbers over here.
You see some independent candidates put
Probably
something off in that.
I think he's contributed his quota outside politics. Because as it stands now, he's the founder and bankroller of Inswatraman FC. And I have followed his political journey from an MC, and later he became a minister and blah, blah, blah. So from what we've just seen, it appears his position is a bit shaky. Though I read a piece that he's widely tipped to win this time round, but this is elections for you. If you are not able to maintain a firm grip on your seat, the inevitable might easily occur. So he really needs to up his game.
But it seems the Bono region is a difficult region that we should all take notice of.
It is.
This is because if you look at the presidential, it is telling a different story. Parliamentary is also telling a different story. What are your expectations?
I've seen some very deep blue. I've seen some deep blue seats. I think the NPP would maintain these seats. However, I don't think the NDC is safe either. I don't think they are safe either. Let's go down to Doma West, where
Doma West. Opong Assam West.
Yes, with some 53% of the votes. I think the margins may not be too huge. And like we stated earlier, I think that's a swing seat as well.
It is.
So it means that the NDC would have to work very hard. The NDC candidate, I'm sure he's been maintained. He's going to. He has to work very hard. He has a little over a week to work, very hard in order to maintain his seat. Let's go to another. Green, up in the middle. Yes, that is no. Please calm down. Yes, yes. If you look at the Time constituency, you can see that.
Green.
You can see that one independent candidate managed to pull some votes, because if you combine both votes, that's some 86.3%. If you tally the NPP and NDC, that's 86.3% of the votes. So it means that some 13.4% of the votes probably went to some independent candidates. That number of votes could have done something. It could have changed who won that particular seat. And so it means that the NDC candidate for Time in the Bono region ought to work very hard. It depends on who the independent candidate or the candidate for another party took those votes from. If he took those votes from the NPP, and let's say going into this election he decides to withdraw, and then there's an alliance, then it means that could foment some trouble for the National Democratic Congress. I see Greg nodding in concord with me. And if you go up there to Banda, you could also see that the margins very, very slim, very slim.
50.3.
In fact, it was just
about 300 votes.
Yes,
very close. Very close. Very close.
I think there's a little error. There's a little mistake with the tabulation, because if you add 49.8 plus 50.3, it gives you some 100.1. I'm sure it was probably 7 years. Maybe probably approximated or something. But you could see that the number of votes with which the NDC candidate Ahmed Ibrahim won that constituency very fine margins.
When we go into and there were a few chaos. I'm personal over there.
Then it means
Banda is one very, I won't say unstable place, but it has a history. Of electoral violence.
It's a bit,
and so every time it's
it's a flashpoint, it's a hotbed. Right. So the Ahmed Ibrahim ought to get his loins for the upcoming race. It's not going to be any easy. He's in for a battle. I'm sure many things probably may have gone on. I wouldn't assume that there's been some gerrymandering. There's been passing of people over there. From both parties. Maybe not. That's how the political terrain here in Ghana is. And something of sort probably may have happened. I'm not saying that it has happened. Right. Maybe not. But it's going to be a tight race. I'm looking forward to that particular constituency.
Greg, the constituencies with over 100,000 votes. Do we have any?
I think
in the region?
East. Yesterday when we checked, Sunyani East.
What about Brekum? Is Brekum also there?
No. So in the Bono region, there's only one.
Only one.
Sunyani East, and then in the Bono East region, there's Kitechman South. So these are in the Bono enclave. There are only two of them.
Now let's look at the historical performance of the various parties in that region.
Right. So let's start off from Banda. That's the area known as Banda Ahinkru, along the banks of Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. So in 2016, NPP garnered 5,660 votes. NDC got 6,167. And so even in the previous election and the one before it, the numbers were not too huge. Now in the last election, in fact, last I said it was a little over 100 votes, because NPP in the last election got 8,195, NDC 8,277. And so it was a little over, it won't even be more than 100 votes.
So 23, let me see, 8,195.
That's
8,277. That's very close.
That's some 82 votes.
Yes.
Yes, that's some
82 votes. Yeah.
Between himself and then Joe Dankwa. So this is
and I mean the more reason why the NDC candidate should be afraid. Look at the 2016 results.
Yes. And even this one, the numbers have never been too great.
Yes, but if you look at the 2016 results, the number of votes with which he won with 6,167, as opposed to 5,660, over 500 votes.
And then he closes
the gap up to 80 something.
So this year
is going to be a really tough one,
and
very, very tough one for him.
I see. So who is the MP? Ahmed Ibrahim.
Yes, that's the deputy minority whip. He garnered and bless. So 8,277 as against Joe Dankwa of the NPP, 8,195. The rest got 0. The people were not interested in any other ways than this one.
But if you ask me, I think
so. They have been the two candidates in the race from 2012. This year as well, I'm told Joe Dankwa is again in that race. Let me do a quick check of that. And so this looks like it's another showdown, because in 2012 the numbers were not quite too huge. Joe Dankwa upped his number from 46 to 48 in 2016, and then in 2020 he upped it to 49. And so Banda is a flashpoint. NDC could lose that seat if care is not taken. Yes, and NDC could easily lose that seat. If
I think they would want to hope that the current discontent towards this ruling administration would translate in their parliamentary election. I mean, Ahmed Ibrahim would want to wish that the general discontent towards the NPP would translate in the upcoming polls, and that would inure to his benefit. Otherwise, then he's in for a battle.
He's coming up against Joe Dankwa again this year.
the same
old face.
Yes.
Third time.
Yes.
He's been very consistent. He's been persisting.
Yeah.
So it will actually be the fourth time. 2012, 16, 20.
And he's been very consistent. He's been persisting.
And he's been closing the gap.
Exactly.
Need to be.
And you know that with perseverance, if care is not taking.
That's what I'm saying. The hope of Ahmed Ibrahim probably lies on the fact that there is a general discontent towards this administration, and so there will be some form of apathy.
And Jay, you know,
wouldn't want to go out and vote.
I have been in a conversation with Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim and the prominent member of parliament on the ticket of the NPP in this region, who is also in government. I don't want to mention him. And he said, in fact, they got to a time they had to come in and do a few things to help Ahmed cross over the line. And Ahmed, if you know how parliament works, you know seniority is very key. Ahmed is one of the seniors in the House, even on the side of the NDC, and so the NPP MP says they in that region had to come through and then help push him through. I think he will be a member in the Ahafo region or the Bono region, one of them. And so, if you are giving an account of what transpired that day, people were bust. People were bust, and that accounted for that. And so that's one of the areas.
Slim.
Yes.
Maybe this year has to ask more people.
Okay. But I'm seeing something else, and I feel I have this strong conviction that the current MP is likely to win the seat. I mean, he will retain the seat because we've seen what he has done. He's a very hardworking MP.
Yeah.
And generally, Banda area is not for any particular party. You cannot say that you dominate the area. I've seen a lot of reportage and then other, media outlets who that reported that even chiefs within the Banda area were throwing their support behind the New Patriotic Party's candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and the parliamentary candidate going into the 2024 election. I believe that, one, because of the general economic, issues, and then the fact that he's a very hard-working MP, his people would not, forget about him in the upcoming election. Also, they are likely to reward him for how hardworking he's been.
Also, yes, and for that reward to also happen, I'm sure the people may also consider the fact that this is somebody who is in a leadership position in Parliament. I mean, when with people who are leaders in Parliament, then it's very difficult to overlook them when you go to the polls. And so you would hope that, like you said, the general economic malaise and the fact that he is a stalwart in Parliament, as far as the leadership of the NDC is concerned, then it means that it could bode well for him.
If NDC controls majority in the next Parliament, Ahmed Ibrahim is a candidate to be, already he's a leader, but he can be uplifted, and that's will inure to the benefit of Banda.
Yes, to the people. So they may also look at that. Look, we have somebody in the person of Ahmed Ibrahim who is in a leadership position, and that could draw some form of development to the constituency. And I mean, as compared to a newbie who would be going to Parliament for the first time, if he wins, then it means that he's going to be a backbencher.
If he wins and his party doesn't win the presidential election,
then he becomes an MP in opposition.
Yes.
I mean, it's going to be difficult, and so let's see.
But the problem is he's facing a familiar foe.
Again,
that's too.
That must be very annoying for him. Being someone who constantly closes the gap, and then it comes to 82, 83 votes.
That's where the trend is coming from.
I think that what encourages the MPP candidate to be coming against the incumbent member of Parliament is about the fact that anytime he contests against the current member of Parliament, he comes close. He comes so close.
Of course, so that would be enough motivation.
Enough motivation. I mean, and so let's see what happens. But I strongly believe that the incumbent member of Parliament is likely, it's highly possible that he retains the seat for the National Democratic Congress
by a hair's breadth.
Well, let's see. I'll still say maybe not, because perhaps the people also have their reasons for which they keep closing the gap. And sometimes, if that continues to happen, and I mean, it means there's some form of disapproval. Did he go unopposed in the parliamentary primaries? Okay.
But you see, let's go to the presidential. Then
it tells quite
you see, the people voted for President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, 50.98% against 48.22%.
Yeah, that's
especially when John Mahama won in 2012 and 2016, and then he loses in 2020, and then Ahmed Ibrahim nearly.
So it tells you clearly that the people at the time did not want John Dramani Mahama, but they wanted to retain their MP.
Their MP, that makes for interesting.
Even when NDC wins, the margin is not
very slim.
It's not an area you can really control.
Yeah.
It's not an area you can really, unlike the Sunyanes and the Brekums, it's not an area you can
No
really
one has
control.
a total control over that particular constituency.
Yes.
Anyway.
So, Justice, let's move on to our next stop in the Bono region. That's the Brekum East constituency. So that is Central Brekum. And in 2016, NPP 23,057 votes, NDC 15,848. In 2020, NPP 27,731, NDC 17,305. Massive gap between the two parties. Now, in 96, that was the first time the NDC was able to control that seat, but from 2000 straight to 2020, they have controlled it, and the margins have been have been quite heavy, quite rich for the NPP. They have not been under any imminent threat of
apart from
that
96 that the National Democratic Congress won.
Yes. From the year 2000.
So I mean, this is clear. I mean, you don't need anybody to tell you that the NPP will win this. It's a deep blue.
It's clear. It's quite clear. So Nelson Chairman, he's current MP for that year, 27,731. Simon Ampa being Chairman, 17,305. He's in that race as well this year, and so it promises to be a repeat of that battle. And so this used to J.J. Usu a champion was NDC before the 96, and then from 2000 to 2004, Captain retired in Krabia Ifadate. Yes, one very stalwart as far as NPP and then even Ghana's legal space is concerned. He was MP for that area. And then Kweku Ajeni Mboateng won the seat for the NPP again in 2008. In 2012, Kwabena Chum Nyama controlled that seat. 2016, retained it. Nelson Cheme comes on board for the first time in 2020, wins it, and he's going again for this year's race, and he's tipped to win owing to the numbers with which the NPP have consistently won in that constituency.
Let's move to the next constituency. I think this one, it's so clear.
Yeah, so clear.
So our next one will be Brekum West.
Okay.
Brekum West. So that was carved out of the Brekum constituency. So NPP in 2016, 10,289. NDC 7,860. NPP 2020, 11,245. NDC 10,296. So NDC did quite well over here because NPP has a net loss of 9.3 over there. NDC gets 2,000 plus more votes, whereas NPP only ups by 1,000 votes. So the margins were not too huge over there. Bless, I'm sure a third wheel did some work over there. And so Kweku Ajeni Mboateng Ghana's 11,245. Dixon Chedua of the NDC 10,296.
Derek Obdane Mensah
2,395. And I would think that
this would be an MPP member who defected to go and contest as an independent candidate. I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah, took some 2,395 votes, and he closed. He made the NDC close the gap, only losing with some 1,005, 1,058, or I think.
Funny enough, he's not in the race this year.
Okay.
And so I would say
that the Boateng could even widen the gap.
I mean, he has been MP for the since 2012, 2012, 2016, 2020. So I again tip him to win this one, also owing to the healthy margin with which he wins. So this is the Gini area. I don't know if you've heard that old song.
In song,
Okay. So, Justice, let's now move on to our third.
We need to look at the presidential over there.
Okay. So for the presidential election, again, the gap was huge. I think this affirms the theory he had, because Nana Akufo-Addo has 15,555 as against John Mahama's 7,840.
Lots of skirt and blouse.
So the independent candidate from who is more aligned to the NPP, that's something, because he polls more than 2,000 votes, and that goes against the PC, because Nana Akufo-Addo wins with quite a margin, 65.76, as against John Mahama's 33.14.
Obi Mensah actually contested for. He wanted to contest for MPP primaries in that constituency, and he was denied. And so I think out of anger, he contested in the election as an independent candidate.
And he nearly did some damage because there's only 1,000 between him and the
1,060
the
something.
NDC candidates.
Like eluded him.
So,
there's a report here that an aspiring parliamentary candidate of a ruling New Patriotic Party in the Brekum West constituency of the Bono region, legend Derek Obey-Mensah, has been denied access to pick parliamentary forms to contest this year's parliamentary primaries. It is alleged that the constituency executives are behind the move. According to Obey-Mensah, several questions were asked of him by the party executives when he went to the constituency office to pick his nomination forms last week. He wondered why they were asking him so many questions, as if he was meeting the vetting committee of a party. So I think that led to the reason why he contested as an independent candidate in the general election.
And he almost caused an upset.
Almost. But for 1,000 votes. And so let's now move to Doma Central, the area that is known as Doma Inkru. That's the seat of the former health minister, the Honorable Kwaku Agyeman-Manu.
Right.
In 2016, NPP polled 22,277. That's against NDC's 19,372. And in 2020, NPP polled 28,540. That's against NDC's 20,085 votes. And so quite another margin now. The year 96 was also the only time the NDC controlled that seat in recent times. 2000, 2004, 2008, 12, 16, and 20. NPP have won that seat. But they are brought down so with quite a healthy margin. If you look at the result of 2008, it was quite close, 50.3 as against 48.3. Even in 2004, 50.1, 47.7. And so 20 and even 2012, 49.4 as against 49.4. Tells you a very little vote over there separating the Honorable Agyeman-Manu and then the NDC's candidate. And so Kwaku Agyeman-Manu 28,540, Gordon Esubontin 20,085, Yabo Angela Chumesi Gum 597, Jochi Uroy Edem GCPP 52, Oteng Ajay Kwame PNC 46. And so the Honorable Agyeman-Manu lost the race in 96, but he came on board in 2008 and he has controlled that seat ever since then. And so going into this year's election, he's coming up against the person who contested him in 2016. He has made a comeback. He lost the primaries the last time, but he has won that race again, so he'll be coming up against him. And miraculously, this is the MP for Doma West, the Honorable Oponga Samoa. He contested in 2008, in fact, in 2004 as well, because Doma used to be Doma Drobo, and then later became Doma East and I think West. But it was a very huge place, and so they had to carve it into two, and then so now it's Doma East, West, and then Doma Central, and so that is the historical breakdown of the place. Just as it looks like the Honorable Agyeman-Manu was under some pressure, but in the last election he widened the gap, some 8,000 plus votes. He was under a lot of pressure not to contest in this year's election. I am very close to the Honorable Agyeman-Manu, a familial tie. There was a lot of pressure on him not to contest, but he has defied all odds and he's on that ticket. And I still expect him to win that seat, owing to the numbers with which the NPP win, and also by mere fact that the NPP have controlled that seat from the year 2000 after losing it in 1996. So that's, I don't know if you have any comment to that.
Clearly, I mean, that place is...
I have some comments.
But I don't know what comments.
I have some comments.
Bless us.
So in 2016, there was, let's look at the margin in 2016, 53-46. It was quite close. And in 2020, he managed to widen the gap.
Yes.
However, I think that again, the gap will be closed the NDC may not win that seat, but I think that the gap may be closed, especially when, one, there was a lot of pressure on him.
There's apathy against him.
Yes, there was a lot of pressure on him to not contest, and he defied and went ahead to contest. Now, when that happens, it says a lot. When people ask you not to
contest,
and you decide to.
I mean, there was some.
Is it a party that asked him not to contest, or the electorates? The party may ask you not to contest, but if the electorates are on your side,
so the party itself, there were some calling in the party for him not to contest.
Not to
in
contest.
fact, the president was there some years back, and
said he didn't go unopposed.
No.
I wish I could see the margins with which he won. I wish I could see the margins with which he won the MPP's parliamentary primaries. Also, aside the fact that there was pressure on him to not contest, and then he decided to ignore, I also think that the whole COVID-19 issue, the whole COVID-19, the Sputnik V vaccine, and everything that came out of it could also rob him of some votes. I strongly believe so. I'll be very surprised if he manages to win with the same margin or perhaps more. I am looking forward to the margin being closed, and if an independent candidate who has ties with the NPP decides to contest, then it will be very difficult for him. It could be very difficult for him. That is my personal.
My only observation is that, you see, with the Sputnik vaccine, that issue should be affecting the NPP as a party in the general elections, and not restricted to the minister's constituency. This is because you see, if you are a member of parliament, I believe, and that is my opinion, that it depends on the relationship between yourself and the people who voted for you, and whether or not you are performing as a member of parliament to their expectation. Once you meet the expectation of your constituents, then what it means is that they will repose confidence in you, and probably they will give you the mandate once again. But if you ask me how his position as a health minister and some stuff that he did that did not inure to the benefit of the country are likely to affect his parliamentary bid, that is where I have a little, disagreement.
Especially when COVID struck. I remember there were issues with the use of that facility.
He himself had COVID, and then
yes, he did.
He had COVID. Yes, and the whole issue about why he paid some money, he said he was confused. I mean, you do remember?
Yes, and
with some infantile, flippant excuses that he was giving at the time. I think that any government that comes to power could, other than the NPP, could probably prosecute him for causing financial loss to the state. You've paid money to an entity to provide vaccines, and the vaccines never came. And the reasons he gave, and he was under pressure. He was
confused as a state agency or as a ministry.
But I think that could affect him.
This way, I'm looking at the bigger picture. Because if this should affect anybody, it should affect the New Patriotic Party as a whole.
As a party.
But if you go to his constituency, and the place is predominantly or dominated by MPP members, a typical MPP person sees no wrong with what the minister did. So as for that MPP person who will vote for, that particular MPP person will certainly vote for the minister.
It's one way to look at it like that. But there's a general agreement, and this is backed by numbers we saw in 2016, that his numbers dwindled. You understand? Now, 2016 was supposed to be the year that the wind of change blew massively, and his numbers dwindled over there. Now in 2016 he was made after after the MPP won the elections, they made him health minister. 2020 there was COVID. I mean, with everything that happened. And if people would remember, I mean, we do not have short memories. Everything that, all the roles that he played in the purchasing of vaccines and everything that had to do with COVID, he himself had it. He lied about it.
Yes.
He lied about having COVID-19, and then I mean, all the shenanigans that transpired in that period. If I am a voter and I see that you did all of these things, there have been some financial irregularities and then infractions. I could vote against you based on that. We are also forgetting about the fact that we are being told there was pressure on him not to contest. Why is that?
Nana Akufo-Addo had to even go there and say that and back him.
You understand? But there was pressure on him to not contest. It could also be that the people had read the grounds and then let's realize that because of some decisions he had taken as health minister, there's been some discontent.
Let's widen the scope of our analysis on this matter. You see, as I said earlier, it is different if the electorates are the people saying that we do not want you anymore, just like it happened at Equiapim North, where the lady had to run to Okaikwe North. The people were calling on Samir Oku to come and contest. In fact, it got to a point where they mounted a huge billboard for Samir. I quite remember I had a photo of that billboard and I sent it to Samir. I was congratulating him. And then he told me that he had asked the people to dismantle the billboard because it wasn't yet time. He had not even decided to contest in the election. And so he asked me not to post it and all of that, you know. So when you go to Equiapim North, the people were calling for Samir Oku. Here's a case where the party may decide, and just like it happened at Fomena, the party decided that, listen, somebody else would have to contest, you the member of parliament. He felt that, fine, if the party is favoring a candidate against me and I have lost in the primaries, then I'll go as an independent candidate. The people of Fomena did not approve of the party's decision. So they voted massively for the independent candidate who happens to be a party member. So you see, if you look at the dynamics, if it is the electorates that are saying that we do not want you anymore, step aside, then you have a problem. But if the party says that step aside and your people are for you, no matter what, the party can even, sponsor a candidate against you. If you go as an independent candidate, mind you, he would have won or he would win. And so that's why I'm saying that this analysis, a typical MPP is a typical MPP. A typical NDC is a typical NDC.
And this is the typical NPP seat.
Exactly. They see no wrong, they hear no wrong. And so as for them, it's about going to the polls, seeing an MPP candidate, voting for the said MPP candidate. So let's ask ourselves, that particular constituency, who are the people there? Are the people typical members of the New Patriotic Party? Are they people who would reason like Bless is reasoning? He has done A, B, C, and D. I think that I'm not too comfortable with it. I don't care if you're a member of the MPP. I'll vote against you because of what you've done.
I'm not primarily saying that.
So you know what, Jay, I have been to Doma about three times this year. The general sentiments are that majority of them are that they would have preferred a new candidate.
Okay.
Owing to the fact that he has been there for quite some time. They are not seeing developments in return and a few other issues. His issues emanating from his role as health minister being one of them. But this is a traditional seat. And so insofar as he has made his way onto the ballot, they will back him.
Yes.
However, my argument is that we cannot overlook some of
those issues.
I mean, we can't overlook them. I'm not saying that he's going to lose. I mean, it's quite a huge gap.
Yes.
And
his vote might dwindle.
Yes.
But I back him.
I think he will cross. Yeah. But then this could, if he crossed, then that means that it could probably be his last time.
If we should go by, if we should go by what Bless is saying, then what I see is voter apathy. it means that the people would not come out to vote in their numbers.
Definitely.
Because the people are agreed.
And let's
so once they are agreed,
that whoever the party, I mean,
Fields.
or whoever some people thought that, okay, would have been a better candidate this time around, let's also hope that he's not contesting as an independent
So
candidate.
this time it's
just a two-horse race.
Yes.
Right.
Wow.
so
Right.
in fact he'll win. In fact, there were some videos of people cursing him with X.
I've seen that.
There were
That
a lot of
he took people's
property,
lands.
there's a lot of issues going against him. But once he has made it onto that ballot,
As
the
an
people
MPP,
of Doma will
parliamentary
help him cross
candidate.
over. Albeit the margins might, I won't even be shocked if the margins even exceed what he got in the last election.
I'll be
Because
shocked.
it's a traditional LPP seat.
You see,
But I'll seriously be shocked if he manages to make more.
Per what you are saying, you have been there. You know what the people are saying.
Yeah.
So what you just indicated to us, then what it means is that although those MPP people would not vote for NDC, they would not also go out to go and vote
To
with
vote
their
at all.
numbers.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. But I'm saying that my position is that he would win. He would win because the numbers are very huge. I don't see the NDC closing the gap to the very extent that they win that that area. However, I don't see him making the numbers that
He made in 2020.
No. I don't see that happening. I don't see, and would be here. I'm sure.
I think it's a genuine concern owing to the things I also heard.
People are complaining. They are complaining about.
I don't think that they'll go back to the polls with the general discontent again against the NPP general and everything, how complicit he has been, especially in this COVID-19 thingy. Then it means that he's going to lose some votes.
The thing with him is that he's a respected figure in that
Yeah.
his family, if you know his background and all those things. So those things will cross him over. And also the fact that it is, if Doma was a seat that even flips
Yes,
once in
many
every
wives.
election, he could have been in trouble. But Doma is not a seat that flips. And so once he has made his way onto the ballot, the people would hold their breath and any other
Endorse his candidate.
issue they have with the party
But,
vote for him.
elections have their own dynamics.
Yeah.
And you see, if you are saying that, listen, if you are saying that, I vehemently disagree with you. If you say that, if you know the family in which he comes from,
He's a family man. He has 4 wives. He has 4 wives.
I'm saying that because
He's a big family man. He has 4 wives. 4.
Doma is
The health minister is not
I see.
joking. He takes his biology seriously.
Wow.
Doma is a traditional place, right? And so where one hails from, the family one hails from, is another thing.
It matters to
Yes,
them.
like Swami. You see, one thing with Ashantis and the Bonos is that your family plays a key role, whether we like it or not. For example, take the Honorable Che Mensah. But for some strong ties he has, he would have exited Parliament a long time because there has been consistent agitation against him. But to contest against Che Mensah, there's a machinery behind him, which includes tradition and other things. That also plays a role for Ajman. And if you hear how people even revere him in that area, but for that he could have even lost the NPP race and not even made it onto the ballot.
But the arrest to money played a very important role because people paid their ways.
These are other things: tradition, family, money, position. All these things.
Let's see how it goes. I think I would agree with Bless, in a way, because you see, once the people are aggrieved, once the people are agitating, once the people are complaining, then what it means is that even if they won't vote for the National Democratic Congress, they will not come out in their numbers to vote for you.
Yeah.
So your vote will definitely reduce.
I don't even see him in Parliament beyond the next Parliament.
Me
to
too.
be honest,
Yeah.
it will be a miracle if in the next election he's again on that ballot. Yes. Right, and so let's move over to Doma West, the only NDC seat in that enclave.
Okay.
In 2016, NPP got 8,422 as against NDC's 8,131, and then 2020 NPP 9,874, NDC 11,480. So that's. But in 2012, the seat was an NDC seat. 2016, it swung to the NPP, and then 2020 went back to the NDC. And so that's also one area to look at. The Honorable Vincent Iponga Samuel 11,480, Ali Maiga Halidu 9,874. Now the two of them are coming up again in this race, and so it promises to be another thing. Now they have been back and forth, just like the Honorable Ahmed Ibrahim and Joe Dankwa. They have also been back and forth. So Oponga Samuel was MP in 2012. He lost to Ali in 2016, and then he won against Ali again in 2020, and then he's coming up against Ali again this year.
Is it that both parties don't have people who can contest for the seat except these two people? Well, in that constituency, I don't get it. Because from 2012, this person comes, paves a way for this person to come. This person allows this person to come again, and now they are facing off in 2020. Who wins?
That's one issue. Now, this is Doma West is in Krankwanta. That's the rural part of Doma. That's where mostly the poultry farms and
Peter
other.
Mensah, a member of the NDC communications team, is from that area. He's from Nkrankwanta.
Nkrankwanta, yes. We don't say Nkrankwanta. Nkrankwanta. Right.
Oh no, he's from Nkase Nkrankro.
Okay.
I don't know if I mean this constituency, like that's his constituency.
So this is in Nkrankwanta. Their voting patterns are a bit different from Central Doma because of a few issues I don't want to say on air.
Right.
So NDC should be very particular about this race because history has shown that nobody has been able to go for 2 terms since Doma West was carved out in 2012. And so if that's, especially when the same 2 candidates who have both gone to parliament against each other are again in that race, it tells you there will be some. I mean, bless. It's quite interesting. In 12, Appiah Samoa defeats Ali Maiga Halidu in the first race after the constituency was carved out. 2016, Ali Maiga makes a comeback, and then in 2020, Appiah Samoa makes another comeback. And now Ali Maiga is again coming up against Appiah Samoa. Now
let's look at the percentage.
Yes. Now Appiah Samoa seems to win with huge numbers because the first time he won with over 11%. In the second, in the second race, Ali wins with a little over 2% of the votes. Now in the last election, Appiah Samoa wins again with 7%. So even though he's not able to repeat the feat of 2012,
let's check what happened in 2016.
Okay.
So let me check 2016.
I think we have it over here. 8,422. That's against Appiah Samoa's 8,131. So there's a little over. Bless you are. I think you do the math on this show.
Yes.
I think it's a little over.
Some 290.
200. Yes.
290.
Yes. So the margin is very close, and Appiah Samoa makes a comeback. I think that gives Appiah Samoa confidence because when he makes a comeback, he went with almost 2,000 votes.
Yes.
Almost 2,000 votes.
100.
So I think that gives him some credence going into this election, especially when he's coming up against a person he defeated, a person he made a comeback over and defeated with more than 1,000 votes. Especially when the person won with this a little over 200 votes. I think it gives him some confidence.
Just the 2 of them.
Yes. For them, I think it has been the 2 of them.
A 2-horse race.
And then they are just battling each other. I mean, so and I think the wind of change went against Appiah Samoa in 16. I would like to think so.
In 2016, a lot of the NDC MPs did not go to their constituencies to go and campaign, and they were riding, on the back of John Mahama's, projects that he did, and so they thought that
it was enough
exactly
to
to their
insulate them.
benefit in the election. Unfortunately, it came as a surprise to them when a lot of them, lost their seats and all that. And so you realize that in 2016, John Mahama won, in that constituency. 2016, the presidential results, John Mahama had 8,596, representing 52.49%. And President Adakwa Akufo-Addo had 7,647, representing 46.69%. So why would your presidential candidate win the constituency, but
and then you lose?
The incumbent MP at the time had to lose? I mean, so I don't know.
Well,
maybe he did not campaign. Maybe he did something that the people were not too comfortable with. I don't really know.
Well, at least in the last election, he got at least 100 more votes than John Mahama, because he got 11,580. John Mahama gets 11,320.
I'm sure he has corrected his mistakes.
I think he got more votes than John Mahama, so he has done well in that race. And so 2012, 2016, 2020, John Mahama has won that constituency, 58.7, 52, 53. So even though the two PCs have been exchanging the seats between themselves, John Mahama has trounced Nana Akufo-Addo over there with quite some lead. I mean, I think more than 1,000 votes in the past 3 elections. And so I also take John Mahama again to win this. I don't see any reason why he lose, because even when he lost the election in 2016 and 2020, vote against him. And then now that he's coming up against a new candidate, if you decide to vote against him, I will not see the reasoning behind voting against John Mahama. And so I expect John Mahama to go through, and I will also expect Opowa Samoa to go through again.
It depends.
A lot.
It depends.
That's why it's a projection.
It depends because you see, he needs to work hard.
Yes.
He needs to give the people a good reason for retaining him.
Yes.
Otherwise, I don't see.
I mean, now
the people should retain him.
I am Ablekuma. What? Musa Dankwaso. I'm projecting him to win that race.
So he needs to give the people a good reason to retain him. I'm sure he has also corrected his mistakes. I'm sure he did an assessment to know the things he did wrong, to pave a way for the MPP candidate to win in 2016. So getting the opportunity once again, I'm not sure he will. Or he will.
I think he lost the election while he was Deputy Minister for Works and Housing.
So he won't leave any stone unturned this time around. I'm sure he will do the needful to have the people vote for him once again. Let's pray. And
his opponent is also deriving motivation from the motto of St. Augustine's College: perseverance conquers all.
Omnia Vincent Lebo.
So let's see how it pans out
Yes,
election.
So away from Nkran Kwanta in Doma, let's move to Wamfie again in Doma. This is Doma East.
Why the Bono areas like in crying? What is that? What does it mean? Because as I said, Peter Mesa, member of the NDC communications team, is from Nkase in Krankrom. I don't know if it's in the Bono region or the Bono East region. Which region is Honorable Collins Lauda?
He's in Ahafo.
Ahafo, okay. So Peter is from the Ahafo region. But
so we are exculpated from that. I mean, the Bono and the Bono East regions are very nice places.
I know.
The bread basket of Ghana.
Yeah, you all should do well, and our viewers should do well to visit that.
No problem.
Anytime they want.
Keep advertising your region.
So this is Wamfie. My region is actually Bono East, so I'm sure we'll be going there very soon. So this is Doma East. It's controlled by the NPP. In fact, from 96, that was the only time NDC won. From 2000 straight to 2020, and the NPP have controlled the. In 2016, the NPP got 14,637. That's against NDC's 8,590. And then in 2020, 16,679 for the NPP, 11,383 for the NDC. And so this is a confirmation of the results. The Honorable Paula Prekuchumberema, 16,679, as against Rahel Owusua of the NDC, 11,383. Nicholas K. Cheme was the NDC MP for the 96. Stephen Adomayeboa came on board in 2000. Then Yaunto Ababio comes on board in 2004. He wins 2004 and then 2008, and then William Kwesi Sabi wins 12 and 16, and then Paul Aprekuchumberema comes on board for the first time in 2020 and retains that seat for the NPP. Just I think this is also one seat that the NPP is tipped to win. I mean, I don't see the NDC.
Clear.
It's
so
clear. Quite clear. I don't see the NDC tipping this seat. I don't.
Well, next constituency.
Right. So away from there, I think we are going to German North.
Okay.
The Honorable Akwesi, Ahinkwa Yao-Frederick. That's so now we are zooming into the NDC side of the region.
Okay.
Yes. And so in 2016, in 2016, NPP gets 14,715 as against NDC 13,216. In 2020, NPP gets 18,206. NDC gets 22,375. Now in 2004 and 2008, it was an NDC seat. 2012, 2016, it was for the NPP, and then NDC wins it in 2020.
This is a swing constituency.
Yes. Yeah. So the Honorable Ahinkwa Frederick, and then Siaka Stevens, 18,206. This is the Sampa area.
Okay.
Very close to the border with Ivory Coast. If you are going by the trends, it seems like they always, because Alexander Asum Ahinsa was MP between 2004 and then 2008, and then Stevens Siaka of the NPP comes and then wins it in 2012 and 2016, and then he loses the seat to the person he won against in 2016. Ahinkwa Frederick. Now I need to confirm whether they are on that race again. And so yes, so this time around the NPP is coming with one Enoch Nyako. So it's not the Honorable Stevens, who was one time MP for that area. And so, and owing to the margin, I mean, I will not be too sure if the NDC continues to retain this.
Yeah.
Because of two things. One, the margins, and also over the fact that no one has gone for a 3-term. And so he going for 1 term. I will not be too surprised if the NDC retains it for the second
want
time.
to give him that opportunity.
Owing to these two benchmarks that I've given. Bless, I don't know if you have him.
Oh yeah, I think that he might even appreciate his votes there in the upcoming polls. I think he won with some 10% of the votes, and it could be more. I think it could be more in the upcoming polls. I mean, yeah, that's all I have to say.
Right. Let's check the presidential.
Okay. So for the, I think John Mahama wins with a little over 1,000 votes over against Akufo-Addo. Close. But the trends are such that John Mahama, so the NDC have actually won from 2004. So what was the seat alternated between the NDP and the NDC? NDC won 3 times on a trot, and then they lost in 2016, and then they make a comeback.
Yeah, one with about 1,506 votes.
Yeah. And so just the NDC might again win.
It's highly possible.
Yes. So away from there, let's move on to German South. That's the area, I think, New Drobo. That's New Drobo. Honorable Okofo Date Williams. Now, this is quite a shocker because the NPP had controlled the seat from 2004 to 2016. So in 2016, NPP gets 24,616, NDC gets 12,777. NPP gets 22,519, NDC gets 24,422. I think this is one of,
you see, sometimes, so you see, that's why sometimes when in making an analysis,
the numbers alone shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be enough to say that because he has huge numbers. Because look at the number of votes, 64,000, 64%. That should be much buffer. Like 60. I mean, look at 2016.
24,616.
Exactly.
And against 12, not just 24,000.
Yes.
Against 12,000.
Against 12,000.
Imagine, just
Who contested in 2016?
In 2016, I'm coming. In 2016, it was Kojo. So it was the Afo Kojo Buachijan of the NDs. Now he had gone for 2 races and he lost.
He lost, yeah.
He lost. Prior to that, other 2 NDC PCs had also lost on a trot, 204, 208. He lost in 12 and 16. And then Okofo comes up against the incumbent MP and unseats him in some breathtaking
Fashion.
I mean, the NDC gets 12,777, NPP gets 24,616. Now, NDC gets huge numbers. Bless.
They actually double. They nearly double their numbers.
Double their numbers.
Yes.
And then NPP loses nearly 2,000 more votes.
Yeah.
And so not only is NDC appreciating, NDC then also eats into the NPP's vote by almost a 2,000 vote. And that is one of the most impressive wins of
Let's check
2020 election.
the persons who contested the election and see if there was an independent candidate.
In fact, there was no room for anything. No room. None of these. If we even
Charlie put the just about 300 and something.
The 500. So it was a straight battle between the NPP and the NDC over there. It was a straight battle between the NPP and then the NDC over there. And then he pulls off. This is the next time I see him in Parliament, I'm going to ask him, how did he do this? And he's one quiet man. I mean, I don't see him to be one of those MPs who you always see on TV. And so how did he pull that off? I think that's a question I have to ask.
If nothing really happened, for him to have been able to snatch that seat from the New Patriotic Party, then he will control the seat for a very long time. The magic he performed in 2020.
That's what I thought.
If he performs it in 2024,
that's what I thought.
Then he's likely to take the seat away from him. I think so.
That's what I thought initially. And then I remember that after winning the 2016 election, that's probably what the Honorable Afro thought at the time. And in fact, he won with quite a huge margin. But so I don't think Chairman South.
No, but
24,616 as against 12,000.
You go down. Let me show you something. You see, down. Let's go down, crowd. This side. You see, when Afro came in 2012, right? He won. I
think he actually came in 2008. I'm seeing Afro Yao Mama. I
don't know if
perhaps he's the same person.
So if it's the same person,
and consistently appreciated his votes.
2008
from 56 to 58 to 65
and losing
from 65 to 40 something.
It tells you how strong the incumbent MP was in the 2020 election. I'm telling you, if he performs that same magic,
John Mahama actually loses this race.
Yes.
Right. John Mahama loses.
For example, Fuado had 60.97%. That's against 34.96%.
So it means that there are people who probably even voted for Fuado,
but they did not vote for the MP.
Exactly.
Because
there are
many people who batters John Mahama. Yes. He absolutely batters John Mahama.
Yes.
It's bloody.
Yes. Right.
16,337. That's against 29,429.
Yes, nearly times 2.
What's the name of the MP?
Williams Okofo Date.
And it's coming up against Colonel Kweju Damwa retired.
Okay, German South.
Yes.
German South.
The people must have been
yes,
tired.
So let's see how it goes.
Okay. That's the GRA.
Former Customs Commissioner.
I think he was in an exchange with the office of the SP some time ago.
He had that tango with him.
I think the La Bianca issue.
La Bianca issue.
Okay, that's right. Justice, do you have some comments to make about
that? No, let's move ahead.
Okay. So away from there, we would move to German North, Because we have done south already. So the Bono region. Okay, so German North. Okay, so we've done north and south. So now we're moving to more blue zones. Sunyani East. So this is the central part of Sunyani. The Honorable Kwesi Amel Chairman. Now in 2016, NPP gets 38,009 votes, NDC 14,549. In 2020, NPP gets 49,005 votes, NDC 28,933. So even though the NDC's margins are impressive, very impressive, they are not enough to cause any major upset because they move from 14,000. In fact, they get double of the votes they got in 2016, but the NPP gets 49,000. So they also had 11. I think almost 11,000 votes more to their margins. And I mean, this has been, I think, with the exception of the year 2000. Jay, if you could check the year 2000 for me, who won that race in Sunyani? It looks as though both the NPP and the NDC couldn't win that seat.
Yeah.
Sunyani East.
Yes.
In 2000.
Yes. So 96, 204, 28. 2012, 2016, 2020, the NPP have controlled that. The Honorable Kwesi Chairman Ameyao, 49,005, Alan McBride Setcher, then this 28,933, Francis Kwabna Kusi PPP, 1,630, Tetua Gifty of Boom, 893, Sampana Samson PNC, 240, Titus Sean, CPP, 222.
Sunyani East, is it a parliamentary?
Yes.
2020, JH Mensah, MPP, 27,756.
In the year 2000, right?
2000, yeah.
Yes.
2000. And then the Captain retired F. Edukwe Nkrumah.
So, Ruben, this is the JH Mensah we know.
Yes.
10%. He represented NDC. Yeah, and then Sheikh Mustafa Abdullah CPP at 1,269, representing 3%. And then Moses also Yeboah of PNC also had 1,089, representing 2.40%. Boachi Amankwa of UGM had 592, representing 1.40%, and Boniface Kojo Mensah and NRP had 427. Also representing 1% of the total votes cast.
Right, and so I mean, Jay, this is a very traditional seat as well for the NPP. It used to be occupied by the Honorable J.H. Mensah, who was a stalwart in Ghanaian politics. Within that time, I mean, he was one-time leader in parliament as well. Yes, and I think he was also a minister under the Esther Akufo.
He was addressed as senior minister.
Yes, as well. So I think this is a seat that the NPP.
Yeah. I'm told we have 12 more minutes to go, so let's hurry up.
So let's then do, after Sunyani East, let's go to the west. Odumase area, I think the Honorable Ignatius Bafwe,
okay,
26,907. That's against Millicent Yeboah Mankwa, 23,499. This race is quite close.
I know Millicent. Millicent is a friend, actually.
Okay.
She's actually contesting in this election.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bless. The numbers are quite good, especially owing to the numbers they got in.
Yeah. I mean, the NPP spiraled. You could see.
Because in 2016 they get 29,215, and they get 17,000, and then in 2020 they get 26,000, and they get 23,000.
Yeah.
So they lose 3,000 votes over here. NDC gets 5,000 plus more votes over here.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
And so I don't expect the NPP to lose the seat.
Also, I think some independent candidate there, I'm sure, was able to make some gains.
Oh, okay.
6,507. So
that's our own Bernardo BOT.
BOT was MPP then.
Member of the MPP, yeah.
And now he's cross-capital to the NDC.
Yes, and so he managed to take some.
Our own duty.
He took some votes off the NPP. You know, so
the reason why BOT defected from the New Patriotic Party is about this. He wanted to contest Honorable Ignatius Bafwa, and the party prevented him from doing so. So out of anger, he contested as an independent candidate. In fact, the party even tried preventing him from contesting as an independent candidate, but he did. Okay. And then he garnered 11. So immediately after he defected from the party to join it.
Yeah. So I'm 11%. That's he took a lot of votes.
Yes.
I think we have two interesting places, Tyne and then Wenchi. But I think we should do Wenchi owing to what transpired over there in the last election. So Wenchi had been an NPP seat. They had won from 204 straight, and then in 2016 they got 21,127. NDC gets 17,110, and then in 2020 they upped their margin by 1,000 plus more votes to 23,102, and then the NDC shoots up from 17,000 to 26,068 votes. That's quite impressive. So the Honorable Seidu Haruna, 26,068. Professor George Yao-Jan Bafo, 23,002. And there's a Kofi Anoche Boateng, independent. He gets 1,456. But you can't even draw an inference that that's why they lost the race, because he wins by close to 3,000 more votes against the NPP's Professor George Jan Bafo. And so I think it's quite an impressive victory for the NDC, owing to the fact that they had never won that seat from 2004. I mean, George Yao-Jan Bafo had been MP from 2004. Ever since the Wenchi constituency was created, he has been MP there for quite some time, and he's a stalwart. Anybody who knows him, I think he's the famous Professor Jan Bafo that Dr. Baumia mentioned when he was outdoing his ENT.
Professor Jan Bafo.
He loses this race miraculously in 2020 to Seidu Haruna.
Who is this Seidu Haruna?
Goes to unseat such a stalwart. You see, it's one thing being just an MP. It's one thing being a revered person in that area, a revered academic as well.
A professor,
and then he loses the race by almost 3,000. Yes, almost 3,000 votes. I mean, it's quite shocking. And this year again, he's coming up against NDC retaining the MP. Of course, they would. I'll be shocked if he's not in that race. And he's coming up against a Kojo Frimpong of the NPP. I'll still tip him to win this seat.
I agree with you.
I'll also tip him to win this seat.
Because if Professor George Yao-Jan Bafo lost the election against Seidu Haruna, who is Kojo Frimpong?
Exactly. And so, I mean,
well, not to take anything away from him, but
yes,
I mean,
if he has been able to pull this
against
someone who has been MP from
Yao-Jan Bafo, exactly. Then I mean,
that's true. Well, to some extent.
And you know Wenchi, anybody who knows Wenchi is the traditional home of Dr. K. Buzia. One time PM of Ghana. He's a founder of the party's tradition in that belt. So the whole Bono belt, he controlled affairs as far as the UP tradition is concerning that. So Jay, let's then...
In addition to Asamoah.
Of course. Of course. And so I would like us to check the presidential race.
Okay, quickly, and then we do our last
time.
Wrap up.
Okay, so let's move to time then. Let's move to time, because time was also in control in the control of the NPP. So in 2016, the NPP got 14,569 as against 14,520. So there was a very little margin, very, very small margin. And actually, the NPP actually snatched the seat from the NDC in 2012. You know, time had gone for the NDC into it. And then in 2016, time went to the NPP.
So NDC won time in 2008,
2012, yes.
2016, NPP won.
Yes.
And 2020, NDC
But
came
just
back.
look at the margin, Bless. I want you to take a look at the margin. It was a very slim margin, because 14,569 as against 14,528. So there's a little over 40 votes.
Yes.
Over there between the two parties. And then in 2020,
41 votes to be exact. Yeah.
Now in 2020, NPP actually performs well. They get 3,000 more votes, because they get 18,546. Then the NDC jumps from 14,000 to 20,374.
Yeah.
So just I don't know
So
if
there was an independent candidate in 2020.
Yes.
Okay. That independent candidate had 4,945 votes, representing 11.02%.
Who do you think he will be aligned to?
Probably
I'm
the
sure
NPP. Probably.
Kwesi Agyemang Tutu.
Yes.
And even the Boom guy also gets 1,227.
Yes.
So there was a lot in time.
Yeah.
This year, he's not in that race. So it's Appiah Alexander of the NPP coming up against the NDC's incumbent MP, and then I think that's all. And so this will also be a tight race. If these two numbers are anything to go by, I won't be too shocked if the seat is flipped. I mean,
Kwesi Agyemang Tutu, born February 12, 1957, is a member of parliament for time in the Bono Ahafo region of Ghana. So Kwesi Agyemang Tutu once led that constituency.
Under which party? Under which party's ticket?
Let's quickly check.
Our time is up, so let's quickly check that.
Voting trends over here. And so, time, okay. So, time used to be that place in Banda. He was an NDC member.
Yes, NDC actually.
NDC member. So, yes, of course. And so then,
so he actually took votes.
Okay, so yes.
So the NDC could have even appreciated more.
And so
he not contested.
Yes. So defeated NDC MP goes independent. The time constituency. So he was a.
So then I think it gives some breathing space to the NDC.
NDC
in this. So once it's no more in the race,
then
NDC is likely to be in a comfortable lead.
So I would like us to quickly look at
and then we go. Our time is up.
Result of Wenchi. So Nana Akufo-Addo wins Wenchi by a very slim margin as well. Because John Mahama flipped Wenchi in 2012 but lost Wenchi in 2016 and 2020. But in 2016, in 2020, sorry, Bless, if you check the margins,
that's very little. 806. That's a little over 300 and something votes difference.
Wow.
Yes.
And so I'm not too shocked. The NDC flipped Wenchi. Okay.
Very well. Thank you so much, Greg, for that submission. Thank you so much, Bless, and then Ruben. Thank you. This is our time we're last on the program. Make a time with us same time next week. My name is Justice Appiah, and I did this with my colleagues Ruben, Bless, and Greg. Have a lovely afternoon. Goodbye.